Weserübung Sud was the German invasion of Denmark and marked the end stages of Allied incompetence, which was so prevalent in the early war years. This invasion treated Denmark as a speed bump towards the greater prize of Norway. In so doing, the Third Reich broke a year-old non-aggression pact. For some general statistics, Denmark had a force of 14,500 men, compared to the German force numbering around 40,000 men. The Danish Air Force was able to bring to bear 4 squadrons and 31 naval vessels of varying combat effectiveness. The Luftwaffe, by comparison, had 527 available aircraft and Fallschirmjäger detachments. The units that participated are as follows: the Royal Danish Army, the 1st Zeeland Infantry Division with Life Guards contingent, the 2nd Jutland Infantry Division with bicycle contingents, and various auxiliary units, including anti-air. The Wehrmacht 31st Corps, the 170th Infantry Division, and the 198th Infantry Division with armor and Luftwaffe detachments. The invasion started on the 9th of April at 4:15 in the morning, with breaches all along the border. Infantry pushes along with naval landings meant that Danish forces on the border were already cut off at the onset of the invasion. Denmark raised the alarm 2 minutes after the invasion had started. The Danish forces had started to dispatch troops by 4:35. The first engagement between German and Danish forces was at 4:50, when a German motorized column approaching Lundofterberg came under fire from a Danish anti-tank platoon. They were eventually forced to retreat north 1.5 kilometers away to Ambenra. Another German detachment reached Hakerup at 5:30 and were stopped by a roadblock in a 20mm fire. The ensuing fight left 3 armored cars knocked out and a 37mm gun destroyed. The Germans then engaged in melee and captured the unit by 6:15. Bjørkskov was not as fortunate in their defense as the other holdouts, this being that the German armor was part of this advance and the 20mm guns were not suited for anti-tank combat. This was made worse when one of their 2 guns malfunctioned and refused to fire, causing the defenders to try to withdraw. This failed and the unit was surrounded and captured. These opening scenes would be mimicked throughout the day-long campaign, the most notable exception being the first airborne assault in history taking place at 5, with 96 Fallschirmjäger landing to secure Storström Bridge, and to seize the nearby fort. This action as well was met unopposed. The naval landings too were without events. All over the country, the Danish army was too disorganized to mount any kind of formal resistance. This is proven true by the Danish Air Force being all but wiped out by a single Bf-110 heavy fighter, piloted by Hauptmann Wolfgang Falk. He shot down a reconnaissance plane taking off and then proceeded to destroy 11 aircraft and damage another 14, all while they were still grounded. This lack of efficient response times all but doomed any type of meaningful defense of the country, and at 8:34 the Kingdom of Denmark officially surrendered. The surrender was lenient, however. With so little of a fight put up, the Germans allowed civilian autonomy to some extent and allowed the Danish to keep a small Life Guards unit. While the invasion was over, 1 Danish regiment escaped to Sweden and would be formed into the Danish Brigade in Sweden in 1943. This unit would only be deployed on the day of surrender for German forces in Denmark. This swift invasion was tantamount to the future success of Weserübung Nord and the capture of Norway. This was a strategic and tactical victory for the Third Reich and would lead to even greater influence being exerted over Sweden. This was also a huge success ideologically and would lead to the formation of 2 SS divisions. This operation reinforced the potential and utility of combined arms warfare. Utilizing every branch of the armed forces, it also showed what lack of unit cohesion and planning does to the possibilities of a defense.